So we're just, I was on a phone call right when we got on, and the ladies were just, I don't know, sharing some kind of mindset stuff about how it's nice to smile at people and say hello and have people say hello back and kind of spread the love, right? Because we
Yeah,
need it. And it's a sunny day.
Yeah.
it
What's
is
good?
beautiful out. Yes,
Yes.
see the
Okay.
sun shining in my eyes.
I just provided, the reason I logged in is because I was providing
by
links
accident?
to, well, no, I wanted to make sure that this indeed was it.
I
Alicia
see. Mhm.
is trying to join. I just sent her the link, so
Well, we're kind of wrapping up like the last session of the whole thing,
got
right?
it.
So she's gonna kind of be just
Got it.
listening, I guess.
So you're gonna start a new session next week.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So, Matt, while I have you on here,
Yeah.
are we? Do we want people to graduate from Bold or not Bold? Graduate from Launch before moving forward? Would we decide on that?
Yeah, I don't know the show up rate of the people that you have here, but I know at least a number
These people
of
show up.
very plugged in, and I don't want to stifle their growth by having them restart rather than fold into regular coaching. But yes, as a new rule come in the future, you know, it's something that you should complete before you move on. Otherwise,
so let me give you guys some history. Matt and I have been battling, not against each other, but in our own minds, the value of being able to sit in on the other Monday and Thursday coaching sessions, even when you just start and you just don't even know what you're talking about, right? Just so you kind of can sit in and have that value. On the other hand, there's the flip side that says you need to go through Launch and really kind of have a handle on some of the basics before you're sitting and listening on Mondays and Thursdays, because you may start wanting to ask questions about things that everybody else in those classes has already mastered, and we're trying to like get to reach things at a higher level. You know what I mean? And we want to provide value for everybody.
Yeah,
so
that was something I kind of figured out like after joining this. I was like in these classes listening to you guys. I was like, there's no way I have a clue what's going on. And I'd interjected a couple times. And then I remember I messaged you. I was like, am I supposed to be here?
Right.
I really didn't know.
So that kind of supports what we're thinking we're going to do moving forward. So Alicia.
which I will say, here's the challenge. And the reason we kind of have battled with this, as Sharon said, is, you know, we have a lot of agents that join that are at various levels of commitment and different goals and just different ideas. I mean, some people literally come in and get their real estate license and have no understanding or expectation of what it's going to take to be successful. Some of them have no intention on applying, you know, this to be a full-time career. This is just going to be a side gig that they think that they can you know, have all of their questions answered and very quickly and just be on. And we all know that that's not the case. So, you know, is it fair for the other agents, you know, that are devoting 100% time, right? Think about it as, you know, a highway, right? And there's 3 lanes to the highway, right? And you've got agents that are going to be stuck in the slow lane, right?
Right. They're just on the on-ramp. They're just kind of trying to merge in.
And the agents in the middle and the agents in the fast lane, they get frustrated with those agents, right? They want to go around. They want to get there faster, right? So how do we deliver to all those agents, right? So we've been taking those fast lane agents, right? Those agents that are just getting it, jumping in, right? And we've been masterminding with those, and those are the ones that are starting to produce. And that's all good. But the middle part, which is many of the agents in our program, you know, we don't want them to be stifled by the slow lane agents. But at the same time,
they can't keep up with the fast lane yet. Like they need that space to pick up speed.
Yeah.
Right.
So the problem with, you know, having a launch and having the restriction of saying you must graduate launch before you move on is that some people just won't graduate launch. You know, they won't put in the time, they won't plug in, and then, you know, they will then they'll they'll probably not reach a level of success, or call Sharon and I and say, I need to put an offer in today. It's due in an hour. And we said, where have you been? Why haven't you attended anything? So it's a real challenge. So
But
that's
the
part
great
of,
thing though, is that we can speak freely about this right now because you guys that are on this call are committed and you've been showing up and you're learning and you show and you're doing things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Which I appreciate you guys for that. And Matt and I both value that because you guys make our job pleasurable, right? We enjoy getting phone calls from people like you because we're like, yes, I'll help you till the sun goes down, right? Because you want it and you're showing it, right? And that's what makes it worth it for us.
For sure. And to your guys' point, from my just experience with exactly what you said, I'm completely guilty of that. And it kind of made me mentally not as excited because I was like, oh my God, am I not as with it as these people are? Am I supposed to know this? You know what I mean? And then once you told me yeah, no, that's kind of, they're already through the launch. And then I was like, oh, okay. Because I was
that's a
oh.
really interesting perspective.
And I'm very I'm competitive, I'm eager, I'm driven. And it was how do I not know all this stuff these people are talking about? So at first I was like, oh no, but it was just for one day until I asked you. But then when you confirmed with me,
because
yeah,
you asked.
Yeah.
You not asked, right?
Yes. It would have just been oh no, maybe I'm not catching on as fast as them.
Right. Alma, what happened with your offer?
Oh, Lord.
Uh-oh.
Well, she was a nice agent. She ended up getting, somebody offered maximum as expected in this, and they didn't want an inspection. So she ended up taking that offer.
For sure.
Yeah, we knew it was coming. And now the challenge is after taking that class on Monday that Matt was presenting, that's exactly what they were talking about, how competitive it is. And I was just sitting there listening the whole time, just absorbing it in. And you know how that day was for me. I was probably working Sunday since 3 p.m. Just stepped out to pick up my kids, came back home and stayed till midnight. And then the next day started again after I dropped the kids off at school. I've been back in right here at and worked all the way till 6 p.m., including the phone calls. So it was a day, and it was a wonderful learning lesson. I had to learn everything in 2 days.
You practiced and you learned. So if you want to absorb more of that kind of stuff, look on the coaching YouTube. There is a class under the skills playlist that talks about how to write a winning offer. And then go to the Market Center's YouTube channel. And there are 2 recordings currently of Dan Narado and Matt, where they did the same class twice, right? And it's about competitive offers. And those are an hour a piece, right? And although they're the same class, you have different people in the class. So there's different conversations that happen, right? Go back and watch those, right? Because you have to listen to it more than once to wrap your head around what it means and how certain clauses are competitive, right? And how you can
I had a feeling that no inspection, whenever you ask no inspection, they like to jump on that. And then there's somebody that made a comment how this one guy, no inspection, he got screwed one after another. And then you got to be careful. Who's your client? Can they afford this kind of stuff too? So there's definitely a lot of things.
Yeah, your job is to look out for your client, and no inspection is not always the right way to go. Depends on who they are.
Right.
Just so you guys are aware, you should be and I'm sure you discussed with Sharon, you should be practicing your paperwork and filling out a mock offer and whatnot. But when you do have the opportunity, whether it's a listing and you're putting together the listing paperwork, or a buyer and you're writing up that contract, it's nerve-wracking, right? Especially if there's a deadline. The best way for Sharon or myself to help you is for you to do the best of your ability and fill out everything that you would need, almost to the point where you're about to send it for electronic signatures to your client, but instead PDF it or forward it to us for us to review. We can very quickly go through a PA even on our phone on the go and give you notes or changes or suggestions to tweak it to make it more palatable. So just know if you say, hey, I need help with an offer, it would be great for the next thing you say, I've already written it up. Can I send it to you to review?
Right.
Okay.
I'm gonna just say one thing, and I agree with you, Matt, on this. And Sharon made a comment for us to do it. And would have I never done that, I wouldn't have known what to fall back on, because in Pete's class, I pretty much, we covered everything except for that section, like half of the purchase agreement. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know how to go for it. And I found Sharon corrected me on it. And I was like, I have that. So I was able to use that. And thank God, because that saved me. And it was definitely helpful, because I was able to continue on filling it out and just needed the last minute just to make sure that I got everything in there correctly. So
Well,
this is very helpful.
I'm bummed that your client didn't get the property, but it's more practice for you. It shows confidence in that, in you, in you to them, that you know what you're doing. And listen, it's hard to compete against an offer that's just straight up going to waive inspection and stuff.
Right.
And for me, I feel just fine, because I'm not going to advise my clients to do that.
So Matt, what I've been doing with these guys, and on an aside, I'm going to finish my sentence, but Tegan, were you able to get into DocuSign and do all that stuff? Because
I sent it to you again.
I'll go back and check. Did I send it back to you?
I don't know.
Okay. So what I've been doing is I found just an app that I can use online where I can type on a PDF and highlight things. And so I go through their PAs and I just type comments or notes or highlight things. And then I just send it back so they can like look at it. And that was what Alma was talking about. She went back and she looked at that corrected practice offer. And that was, made it easier for her to fix her real offer. And when she showed it to me, she had it all good. We just had to talk about some FHA stuff, right? Because that's different. That's one of those things. So that was nice.
Awesome.
So
I'm going to tell you, I also called insurance, because you put a little note on there. So I picked up the phone and I verified some stuff with how quickly they can get that done, and just confirmed it. So
good.
It was very helpful.
Good. I'm glad. Andrea, how are you doing with that customer that wants to see those rentals? Did you figure out your logistics maybe? No?
So what had happened was, I called the client back and I let him know that I was going to send him an updated list of the properties that he wanted to see, because the ones he was interested in, they were no longer in the MLS. So I sent him a list of sold properties by accident.
Oh.
So I had to call him back and I was like, please disregard the first list. The next lists that come after are the actual list, active properties that I want you and your wife to take a look at.
Perfect.
So I kept sending him, I sent him like 11 in total, because there really isn't a lot available in his price range and in the areas that he wants to move to. But I sent him what was available and I have yet to hear from him, but I did that yesterday.
And so the good bright nugget in that story is that you made an error, you realized what it was. And that's when you realize what your own error is at times, that's when you're never going to forget it again the next time, right?
Right.
So you learn something now to pay attention to, and that's important, right?
Yep.
So last week was supposed to be the listings. Did you guys fill out mock listing paperwork?
I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't either. No.
Okay. Alma, you did, didn't you?
Yeah, that was yes. Oh yeah.
I feel like
I send you like all the paperwork. I was just hoping that you weren't gonna. Yeah.
Okay. Because I had to cancel last week. No, I think I did. I just have to go back and look at it. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So Tegan and Andrea, I want you guys to go, create like a mock opportunity. It can just be your name, whatever you want it to be. Go into DocuSign, put together all the listing paperwork as though you're doing a listing, right? And then rather than getting it signed by anybody, just send it to me and let me look at it.
Okay.
Right. And then Tegan, you're going to have to do a offer too.
I'm looking for it right now because I didn't see anything on my KW email, so maybe I sent it from my personal email. I'm trying to find it.
Okay. Do you guys all have Showing Time and Sentry Lock downloaded on your phones as apps?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I just want to confirm that. And you guys have tried using it or at all? Like, does it work? Do you feel comfortable that next time you set a showing, if they say it's a Sentry Lock, you'll know how to open the door?
I'm not comfortable with it yet.
Okay. So what you need to do as well in the next week or two, I mean, I know it's Wednesday, set up some agent previews. Doesn't mean that you have to take a client through a property. Set up an agent preview, get the combination, the access details. It'll all come through Showing Time. Walk in and out of some houses. Get comfortable opening the door. Right? Get comfortable scheduling a showing. Like I would hit like 3 or 4 places this week. And make it in an area that you're interested in, right? So that you can become aware of price and condition in your area. So it'll help you in a lot of ways. You'll be practicing setting up showings. You'll be practicing accessing a house. You'll be familiarizing yourself in an area that you're interested in as far as the condition and the price of whatever's out there in the market. And that will help you with your confidence.
Okay.
Right? And if
I just want to,
if Andrea and Tegan, if you guys want to take one of the houses that you're previewing and do a mock offer and a mock listing on those, go for it. Because then at least it's a house you walked through, right? And you're going to be more comfortable with it.
Okay.
Yeah, Alma.
The Sentry Lock, I couldn't open it the first time and I called that number. They were wonderful helping me go through it. So then it was success. And then at the end, I had a hard time locking it only to find out that the deadbolt screws were coming loose. And I thought, my first showing ever, I always have to have a story to tell.
Yeah.
And it was nothing to do with the lock. It was almost literally falling out. I had no screwdriver. I'm like, I got to lock this door. I have to lock this door. This is my name. So I took the key and started doing
That's
something,
funny.
and even then, yes, it happens. And then one house, I had a guy that approached me with the car. He's like, hey, I'm renting that house. And I looked at him. I'm like, sorry, I didn't know it was, we're just here to show the house. He was like, oh yeah, I talked to the landlord. And I was shocked because they didn't remove it. So with the COVID-19, I wrote a message to the agent, just a nice message stating, hey, I never showed the house. I was approached by somebody who was renting this home.
Yeah.
And I just kind of left it at that. And I never got a phone call. I tried contacting him just to let him know what happened. But with COVID-19, I mean, I don't know. None of us know. Maybe he's in a hospital.
Well,
maybe that's why he's not responding. But it was a weird thing sometimes happen like that.
It's tough. It's tough when, as an agent, it's tough to sell a house that's a rental and has a tenant living in it, because sometimes the tenant is agreeable and cooperative because they're looking for their own place anyway, or they're just a nice, good person and they'll let people come through and they'll keep the house clean. Other times you have tenants who really don't want the homeowner to sell the house, because then that means they're going to have to move. And so they might put up kind of roadblocks like, no, I'm not available. No, you can't come in. No, right? The house is trashed every time you go in. It just depends. So it's tough, as far as COVID's concerned, it's the same thing as if it's a homeowner living in their home or a tenant.
Yeah, I think this guy, he just rented it, even though the house was listed. He never lived in it. He told me he just painted it, and the owner rented it to him. They just didn't pull it from MLS for some reason. It was still active. There was no lock box. I looked through the fence to see if it was on the side door.
That's possible.
Because
the agent might not have done his job, might not have pulled it off.
And things like this.
It's possible.
Yeah, you run into those for sure. Yeah.
So, have you guys are you up to date on the launch videos? Did you get up to number 6? which is about listings and things like that.
Yes.
I know we're not doing any open houses right now. I'm hoping, Matt, do you have any word like February 1st or 6th? Like, do we know?
It hasn't been actually released by Michigan Association of Realtors, but I assume that it goes right in line with the same limit lifts on indoor dining ban and such. So stay
I
tuned.
would think so too.
I'm
Yeah.
prepping for it, but you never know.
Yeah. So Matt, I would say as soon as we hear that it's opening up, we should just do a refresher on Thursdays, just open houses in general.
Yeah, because I mean, even with them being opened up, they're going to look a little different for some time. So,
And we haven't been able to do open houses for a couple months, so
correct.
it's weird. Yeah,
But I
weird.
will say the agents that are willing to put in the work to do them, especially right now, you know, in a balanced market when it's nice weather out, people just roll into open houses because it's something fun to do on the weekend. When we're in the middle of a worldwide pandemic and the weather is shit, if someone stumbles into your open house, they're a buyer. So you might not see as many people, but you certainly will. The people that you do see are buyers. So we'll talk about the best way the scripts, the way to welcome them, the way to follow up with them, all that kind of stuff. But definitely should be part of your lead generation plan for 2021 if you're comfortable and if you're not high risk and such.
So, Matt, I just saw your text that I didn't see earlier.
Oh, no worries.
We are going to move these launch sessions to Mondays at 10 o'clock. So just because you've been through this, session or whatever of these launch classes, if you feel like you benefit and still need to go through and watch some of those videos again, because when you hear them again, stuff sinks in again, right? It's going to be Mondays at 10. It's not going to be Wednesdays anymore. So it'll be Mondays at 10, and then at 11 will be accountability. You'll just like roll right into it.
And for those, I mean, if you guys are wrapping yours up, obviously it doesn't really affect you if you're no longer going to be a part of it. However, it's always good to get a refresher. And, what I really encourage agents to do is encourage other agents, right? If an agent asks you a question, put some accountability back on them. Say, great question. Have you gone to LaunchQ&A? That's something I remember we talked about,
Yeah. So, let's talk about goals quickly, right? And this would kind of like wrap everything up, because as you move out of launch and you start participating in the accountability sessions, we really talk about being accountable for your activities to reach out and make contacts with people, convert those conversations into appointments, and then convert those appointments into signed agreements of some sort, right? Mm-hmm. How do you know how many contacts you're even supposed to have or what you're supposed to do? You can't just you got to have a goal. You have to hold yourself accountable to a number every week to make yourself do it when you don't want to do it, because you're your own boss. So if you recall, in the first week or two of this, you guys had filled out this allocation of funds, which told you how much money you want or need, right? Depending on if you kind of stretched yourself out for your dream stuff, right? Your exciting stuff. And then the next step is the MREA worksheet. We didn't do that, did we? Mm-mm. I feel, no? Okay, so here. Let's find it. One second. I got to find what I want to do this. I'm going to show you where this is, and then you guys are going to download it on your own. I don't want you to edit it from the Google Drive, because then that edits everybody's. You know what I mean? Because there's formulas in here. So this folder that says goal setting, GPS and 411, you open that up and you have this MREA economic model worksheet, right? So I'm going to do what I just said, I guess, and download it so that I don't mess up anybody's. Okay. So I'm going to open that, which means I got to share something else. Hold on. Oops. I don't know what just happened. Sorry, guys. Give me a second. Share. There we go. You see that? I know it says 2019, but it's the same. We're going to call it 2021 now. You might be, all right. Oh my God. All right, I'm not going to do anything okay, so I'm sorry. You're only supposed to change the things that are in the highlighted fields, right? So does anybody know off the top of their head what their number was?
You know, it's 100,000.
Okay, so 100, whoops. Right? So this is a little high for new people, this cost of sales. And that's like signs and photography, different things like that. You know, marketing would be operating expenses. Like if you're running Facebook ads, this is just an average of a percentage that you might be using to run your business, right? We have to throw a number in there. Your cap is already figured in here too. Once you hit the 21,000, because the 21,000 is the 18 to your KW cap and the 3,000 for the royalty cap. That's why it says 21. The way the formula is written out is once you hit 21, it stops taking any money. That helps you. Just be sure in that. So you want 100,000 gross based on this number, which means you'll get 69 net before you pay taxes. If you wanted your net to be 100,000, you could start fooling around with this number.
Okay, yeah, because that's what I would like.
You know what I mean? So let's see.
45.
Or maybe you've done the allocation of funds worksheet and you already know your total gross amount with taxes.
Right.
And
You
can
just put that in.
zero out those things.
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. This is going to tell you now, then you have to go here. How many sellers and how many buyers do you think you're going to have percentage wise? Like, how are you going to spread out your business? This is your opportunity to create your business the way you want to see it. Some people love working with buyers. They love it. And they're going to be really heavy on buyers. Some people don't want to drive around or do any of that. They just want listings. Know that as a brand new agent, we see that typically it's easier for people to get buyers because people are just like, oh, well, I don't pay the commission anyway. Sure, I'll let you show me around, you know, some houses. It's a limiting belief potentially to say as a new person, all you can do is get buyers, because that's not true. But it's just kind of an average that we've seen, right? Just to let you know. We have this set at 60% buyers, 40% sellers. Tegan, how do you think you might look?
I have no idea at all.
Okay, then I'm just going to keep it like this.
Okay.
Right? What do you think, Matt?
I mean, the model would be in a perfect world, many agents would prefer to do more heavily towards sellers,
Right.
because that is you can do more, right, with
Right.
less. I think mine is 50-50. It has been historically. I'd like it to be more sellers, but it is 50-50. I think with new agents, it's probably going to be weighted a little bit more towards buyers.
Like 75?
Yeah, I mean, just
All right.
and not because that's how they desire. It's just buyers seem to, you know, they're running ads and they're
Right.
you know, they're just attracting buyers
Right.
earlier
So-
on.
So what now? So we have decided here, Tegan, that you're going to have 25% listings and 75% buyers. in 2021, right? So as you move further down, so this is telling you that $35,000 of your gross revenue is going to come from listings and 105,000 is going to come from buyers, right? Your commission is 3% on each side. Your volume for listings is going to be almost 1.2 million, and your volume from buyers is going to be 3.5, right?
Okay.
Now, this is where it starts to break it down, because right now it feels overwhelming.
Mhm.
Right? Okay. Your average sales price. We have $200,000 here just because that's the average that we see in the coaching program for the most part in our area. If you know that the area you'll be working in tends to be a little higher, or if you know it tends to be lower, like 150 or 125, this is where you want to set that.
Actually,
Go
last
ahead.
year, our for agents and coaching was 210.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, just
in
the
general,
market's going
right?
up. I would err on the side of
Caution.
even numbers and but yes.
For sure. So, and it doesn't need to be the same, right? You may, in your mind, say, well, my listings are more likely to be 250, or my listings are more likely to be 150 because most people I know are going to buy up because they already own a house and they're going to buy a $250,000 house. So you can monkey with this. I'm going to leave it where it's at for now, but it's something for you to think about.
Okay.
Because it matters. As Matt said, though, better to err on being conservative so that you'll hit your numbers anyway. You know what I mean? Rather than, oh, my average price point, I want it to be $500,000. Well, that's cool. Have something to support it. No, right? Know that it's accurate. Okay. The next line here, row 21. This is telling us that based on all these numbers, you will have, and these are in decimals, so we know we have to round up because you can't sell 5.8 houses, right? You have 5.8 transactions that will be seller transactions and 17 and a half buyers. Cut a person in half. So that still feels overwhelming, right? You're like, oh my God, that's 22, 23. How am I going to do this? Well, we know based on data that there's a conversion rate. We have 70% down, meaning that 70% of the buyers that you sign onto a contract will actually close. I think it's a little higher than that. Well, maybe not with buyers, but with listings, I think it's higher than that.
Yeah, so imagine the different levels of commitment, right? First, you have to make a contact, then you have to set an appointment, then you have to go on the appointment, then you have to sign an agreement, right? And then you actually have to sign a contract, meaning get them under contract to buy, and then you have to close. So
this is about the closing conversion, right? Like it's the percentage of how many are actually going to close.
Yeah, I mean, I would think if you get 70, I don't know, it might be higher, but again, erring on the side of being
I'm going to make it
conservative.
80.
Okay.
And for listings, I'll make it 85 because listings right now are just going, right?
Yeah.
Unless something blows up. So that means that you need to sign and put on the market 6.86 transactions because on average, only 85% of them will actually close, which means you'll really only close 5.8, right? On the buyer side, you have to get 21.8 buyers under contract because 20% of them are going to fall through and you're really only going to get paid on 17 and a half, right? So then we go down another step. Conversion rate of appointments. So, because we're working backwards. So you have a client and you closed a house. Well, now how many of those actually fall through, right? So now I got to actually talk to more clients. So now it's a conversion rate between how many people I actually make an appointment with who do choose me to hire them. So I could talk to 50 people and only 35 will actually sign a contract with me. Right? But because I have a money goal, I have to take that into account. So 60% is the conversion rate, typically, from an appointment to a signed agreement where they are retaining your services, right? So that means that you need to have 11.44, 12 listing appointments to ensure, based on a 60% conversion rate, that 7 will sign with you, which ensures that 6 of them will close, because that's the ultimate goal, right? So on the other side, you need to have 37 buyer appointments to ensure that at least 22 of them sign with you and agree to hire you, which then will ensure that at least 18 of them will actually close, which is what you get paid on. That makes sense?
It does. I remember when
So-
we did this. I like this a lot because it
Yeah.
makes things a lot more realistic. Like the approach just seems more digestible.
Well, and it's
And-
clarity,
And
right? It's clarity.
Yes.
the biggest, you know, these numbers aren't, even though they're specific around you, they're within average of what we typically see. But if you break it down to just the bare minimum, I mean, what is, looking at the gray area, specifically the bottom, what is your takeaway is essentially the one thing that you should be focused on to accomplish each and every week?
Well, let's get down to the first 2 rows here though first. So, you know, you're looking at 12 listing appointments and 37 buyers appointments. That still feels overwhelming when you look at these big numbers. But if you divide it up by months, now you only need 1 seller listing appointment a month
A month. Yeah.
and 3 buyer appointments a month. That doesn't seem so crazy anymore, does it?
No. And what I
No.
really like too is like, say you got 1 or 2 or whatever, your numbers didn't match. And then the next month you were like, okay, I still need to get 2 more because I know I was supposed to have
Correct.
3 per month. So
Yeah.
then no, I have to get 5 this month because I only
Right.
got 1 buyer
Right.
last month.
And then
like
it goes even further and breaks it down per week. So
Yeah, that's great.
if you have 1 appointment, you know, every other week for sellers, you're going to be good. And if you get an appointment 3 out of the 4 weeks for buyers, you're good. So that's not so overwhelming. So now down to what Matt was talking about, right? Your total appointments per week, your appointments per month. So 0.92 appointments a week total between buyers and sellers. 4 appointments a month total between buyers and sellers. After like about 90 days, right? Because you got to look for a house, you got to get to your first closing. As you fill your pipeline, we'll start to turning into a rolling 2 closings a month. Right? So set the proper expectations for yourself. It has to happen in order, right? First, you got to talk to the person, then you have to have an appointment, then you have to list it or look for something, then you got to get under contract, then you got to close on it. And right, that takes time. So the 2 closings a month, just because this is a 2021 goal, isn't going to start in February.
Right.
You're probably going to start having 2 closings a month in March and April,
Okay.
right? As you start rolling. So don't be discouraged by that. So Matt's question earlier was, what's the one thing based on all this information that you have that is most important every week?
To get out and try to get leads so that you can try to get appointments, so you can try to get a contract.
Right. And I'm going to change your vocabulary. When you said try to get leads, I'm just going to say make contacts,
Make contacts.
have conversations. It's got to be 2 ways, because you can send out 1 million postcards if you want. And if nobody's replying to you, it doesn't matter. You need to have conversations with people.
Yeah,
So then the question is, how do I create conversations with people? Right?
We hear often from agents that, you know, that are newer to this. Where do I get leads? Right? How do I get leads? You know, a lead would be someone who's like raised their hand or inquired about something, right? But it's still relatively cold, right? Think about all the contacts and all the people in your phone and in your database that you're building. Those are all leads. right?
Mhm.
So just flip the script a little bit with how you look at people, right? You're not receiving leads, you're finding leads, right? Which is
Right.
through making contacts,
Or
right?
even like thinking of the people that you're already making contact with and how you could bring this up and integrate it into your communication with
Yes.
them.
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
That's called touching your sphere of influence. That's called working your database. That's called just being aware of having the conversation and dropping it into anything. It can be when you're at CVS. Like I did it once. The guy is still in my database. Matt laughed at me a couple years ago. I went to go buy boutonnieres for my son's homecoming, and I started talking to the florist. He's like, "Yeah, you can send me stuff," and he's on my drip, and I have not heard from him, but I send him a calendar once a year, and but who knows? Might turn into something.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So since I have been playing around and creating like my Facebook page and stuff like that, I've started to get ads and even emails to my personal email for like, and on my Indeed profile, where it's these companies that are like, oh, you're a new realtor, here's leads, pay us for these leads. And I'm like, this seems like scam email,
Well,
but I'm not sure if that's
I
like a
wouldn't say it's a
legit thing.
they're targeting you because you are their target clientele, and you are easy, easy money. All new agents, especially hungry ones, are, oh yeah, that sounds great. I'll get this, I'll get that. Believe
because
me.
it's uncomfortable to call people. It's uncomfortable. And so if you can pay somebody to do it for you,
As my dad would always tell me, if it's too good to be true, it probably is.
Yeah, I was like reading these and I'm like, this just seems like it isn't even a real thing. So I just
Well,
delete
I always think, like, if these companies or these people that promise all of these things can do what they say they actually should do, they should be selling real estate.
it should be agents.
right?
Yeah.
Yes. So I've spent tons of money and tons of time exploring different things, and the guys that, oh, we have this unique thing and we've got this and we've got that. It's, is there potential to make some money to get real? Yeah, they're not all bullshit, but I'll tell you what, I it doesn't make any sense for me to spend 1,000 just to earn 1,000 back.
Right.
That's dumb money.
And I
Right?
think the benefit with some of those services, it's a numbers game. I think that the people that kind of make out with that are sinking a lot of money, getting tons and tons and tons of leads. And the few that they get out of it end up paying for it. The person who's just kind of doing the minimum to try and help themselves out a little, it's not working out, financially speaking. And, the saying, that we hear all the time is, when you're new, you have time, but you don't have money. So spend your time talking to people. Get comfortable talking to people. You guys all got into this business because you want to, I hope, because you want to help people, right?
Yes.
So get comfortable with that and show people your value. Later, when you're making a ton of money and you want to pay somebody to pick up a few things for you here and there, you can play around with it, but I wouldn't advise it. And I think you do yourself a disservice too, because you're not practicing drumming up your own business.
Question. You look at something and say, okay, right? And I don't want to tell you to discount everything. There's clearly some people that are scammy, but then there's others that you're like, oh, I'm curious of what they do. My challenge to you is figure out what they do and then try to replicate it and do it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's no magic bullet. There's no magic banana out there, guys. Anybody that thinks they can do something is either just doing something that you could do if you educated yourself and took some time to do. It's not magic. It really isn't. So if you, again, because like Sharon said, right now you have time, right, but not money to spend to someone else, right? When you get to the point where you have money, you can leverage things out, right? But right now you have time. Figure out what they're doing and try it yourself.
Okay.
Cool.
Mhm.
All right. So let's wrap up today. You guys are going to do mock listing paperwork. If you didn't, Tegan and Andre, you guys are going to do mock PAs. And you're going to go preview 3 properties. So you can get used to accessing and doing all that. And that includes like leaving feedback on showing time and all that good stuff, right? It'll just make you more familiar with it. And then download this spreadsheet and do this for yourself. Because then on Mondays, you'll start reporting, okay, this is how many contacts / conversations I had this week where real estate came up somehow. It could be something as easy as, yeah, I was previewing some properties and blah, 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 blah. And that's it. At least you planted the seed and reminded somebody that you're an agent, right? And then you'll report if you ended up having an appointment, which typically require you asking for the appointment, right? You got to close it. Hey, let's get together and talk more. We can FaceTime, we can Zoom, we can Google Meet, we can Facebook video. I mean, WhatsApp video, everything
With
gives
with
you
the,
that ability.
with the in-person dining ban, and this is all level of your comfortableness, so please don't do anything if it's not outside of your comfort. But right now with this indoor dining ban, so many people have been really anxious to get out. If you're if you're comfortable with it, use it as an opportunity to say, hey, now that we can sit down for a cup of coffee, I would love to buy you a cup of coffee. I would rather you guys spend hundreds of dollars paying for someone's coffee to sit down and have a conversation than to buy bullshit leads or this or that.
It'll go way further.
Exactly.
It's a high value touch.
Exactly.
Right?
And maybe it's not coffee. Maybe it's whatever it could be. But we have a unique position right now where we have that opening up, and you guys are still new to real estate. You're making your introductory calls. You're still trying to make sure that people that know you, that already trust you, that already like you, that already want you to succeed, how they can help. You almost want to guilt them into helping you.
Like you guys, you confirmed my skeptical approach to this, where I felt like me meeting people was going to be more effective than me purchasing these leads. That's why I was kind of like, this just seems weird. But yeah, I'm glad I asked.
Well, let me tell you this, and Sharon's probably already said this, and you're going to hear this a multitude of times. Most successful agents, you ask them their sources of business, and they're going to be the sphere of influence and then repeat and referral clients. You guys obviously don't have repeat and referral clients yet. You will. But the first part, the sphere of influence, and I know that there's limiting beliefs on this, a brand new agent, because it's like, well, my sphere is the people that know me the most, and they know that I'm brand new. I want to emphasize this, and I will say this ad nauseum. The people that know you, right? They may use you to buy or sell a home, right? That's a given. We hope, right? Especially if you ask them for it and they know that you do real estate. The opportunity, I think the biggest opportunity is the referrals from those people. It's the two layers, or what is it? 2 degrees of separation, 1 degree of separation. The people that if you knew 100 people, let's say you just knew 20 people that knew you really well, and each of them knew 20 people. Suddenly you have 400 people in a pool that could potentially give you business, right? That's more opportunity than you can handle.
Right.
Right. So it's just as important as making the contacts and the relationships with the people that know you, but it's even more important for them to plant the seeds that, hey, who do you know? Right. And I know this sounds super awkward, but guys, feel confident about it, because we are not asking someone because we're selling insurance or widgets or Norwex cloths or.
Hey, I bought some Norwex cloths. They're really good.
Yeah. Well, we are selling real estate. If someone doesn't need our services, they don't need our services. Right. So again, people that already know you, and then ask for the referrals for the people that know you. Even just planting the seed. Next time they're around someone, they're going to say, you know what? Yeah, my friend Tegan, she's in real estate.
I've said, and I don't think it's a script, but I've said it to some of my friends. When you start to feel a little awkward, like asking them stuff, I'll say, listen, I'm not asking you to buy or sell your house. I'm asking you to get me to the next person. You just get me to the next person. That's all. And it takes the pressure off.
I like that line. I'm writing that down.
Yeah. Oh, she's not trying to sell me. It's like, I just get, when you're ready to sell or buy, I know you'll come to me. So I'm not sitting here trying to get you to do it, but if you could get me the next person, somebody you might know, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, that was one of the scripts off of that Ignite script book. There's one for the FSBOs it's very similar to what you just said. And
Yeah.
they're approaching this person who's selling their home, and they clarify immediately, like, I'm not trying to list your home. I'm just trying to, you know, if I could come take a look at it, maybe like create a report for you. And if any buyers that come that aren't interested, send them my way. And that was
So
clever.
Matt, was it you that said that somebody called you once when you had a FSBO and asked you if they could help you buy your next home? Or somebody else? It's like a great way to go after
Yeah,
a FSBO, right?
yeah, sidebar, but yes. I listed my house by for sale by owner. I've not like actually listed it. I just put it on Zillow because I wanted to see what would happen. Truly, like, I mean, we always talk about how, you know, all this happens, and it is really funny because I received 0 leads from actual buyers, but I received a ton of phone calls from agents. And many of the agents did not know their scripts, and it was very wonky, and it was almost embarrassing. And I can totally see how a FSBO would get frustrated because of the people that are calling them. But the best phone call that I got was an agent. He's on, well, I don't know if he's still in the business, but he was on Mark Z's team. And he said something like this. It was, "Hey, Mr. Marsupian, hey, I see that your house is listed by for sale by owner. And I don't know the circumstances, but it looks like a really great house. And quite honestly, it looks like you've priced it right. So you should probably have no problem selling it. The reason I'm calling you, though, is obviously you're selling this home. Are you looking to stay in the area, or are you like moving out of state or something?" No, we're staying in the area." Okay, awesome. Hey, so I know that you're already kind of handling the sale of your current home, but I just wanted to ask, you know, have you hired an agent to help you buy your next house? Because as you know, it doesn't cost you anything. It's probably the reason why you're selling by owners, to save some money. Working with a buyer's agent doesn't cost you anything. I would love the opportunity to see if I can help you find your next house. And that script, I was like, damn,
That's
kid.
awesome.
I was like, then I was like, well, you know, whatever. But I love that script. I mean, because most of the people that are calling a FSBO, they're saying why I can sell your house for more money and you can't do it yourself and blah, blah, blah. And that was totally different. And I really liked it.
And the cool thing about that is if you can get an appointment and a meeting with them and you provide great communication and value, if they get to a point where they can't sell their own house or they get sick of it, you're the one they're going to come to.
Mm-hmm.
You've already got your foot in the door. Isn't that brilliant?
It is.
Brilliant.
So go call some FSBOs.
Okay.
All right.
I just wanted to say one thing. What Matt was talking, he posted his house, and just to see what the other agents would say. Practice does make you better at what you do. I used to go on interviews all the time, and it was just to go on interviews so that I can
You're
nail it every
crazy.
time. I loved it. And so throughout my 4-year career, I would constantly look up, I would apply, and I would just sit there and I would be the analyzer. I've always loved it. And I remember one of the ladies asked me, was I happy at my current job? I looked at her and I said, yes. She didn't like that. So I always get all these information, but it seems like it always ends up winning me the position, and I liked it. The last one that I went to, I felt like it was like this training, and you guys do an amazing training, because I always say it's like I'm getting tumbled or put in the dryer and I'm getting beat up from all the sides. Sometimes I have to take 2-day break, but it's really absorbing it so good at the end that you really get this amazing education. So same thing was now after all of these interviews, I had the last one that I went to, I was asked left and right. I was asked the questions I've never heard before that I
moment think about it. Are you there?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
We can hear you.
I don't know what happened.
I think your Bluetooth just died.
Yeah. We can probably hear you through the
Oh,
computer.
can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
The manager ended up coming outside to just say, I'm going to recommend you 100% to to the surgeon back there. She's like, and so I was excited. I was happy when I left. So it is practice. It's kind of like, I've always just done it for fun, because the more you did it, the better you got at something.
Mhm.
And I ended up calling an appraiser that did my appraisal a long time ago. And I just called him, didn't know. He ended up telling me that he was a broker too. And I just had a conversation with him, and I asked him after he gave me some advice. I was gonna maybe shadow if I could, just to learn more. Unfortunately, he was retiring, but he gave me some advice about what agents do wrong. And he just kind of told me a couple of things, this is what you want to do, map it out, and when you do your CMAs. And I just, at the end, just asked him if he's okay if I just, call him in a couple of months, just to say hi. And he said, yeah, sure. So that was it. And I just marked it in my calendar, and I thought, if anything, I mean, it's being nice to people, because you just never know if he one day just remembers, or planting the seeds and remembers the one that, yes.
You just assume because this person's a broker or whatever that they don't need any real estate advice. You never know. I mean, we talked maybe a little bit about, professional, like business to business type, things. You should be making relationships with, restaurant owners and the owner of a florist and the local, your dry cleaner and all those people, right? In a perfect world, you should know in your circle, like, I know the banker, I know the insurance guy, I know this, and I'm the realtor, right? So
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to wrap this up for today. It's 11 o'clock. I'm asking Rob, Matt, if you happen to know, can we meet clients downstairs if we want to?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. You just want to make sure at the front desk there is a conference room reserved. Tell them the day and the time. They keep a little schedule of it. So if they're empty and you can go to the front desk and just say, hey, can I pop in here? But if you are having a scheduled meeting, make sure that you reserve it.
Cool. Kai has a listing appointment. She just texted me. She's so excited. It's her first one. She's like, whoop, whoop.
Nice.
So, yeah. Okay. So, Alicia, Mondays at 10 o'clock for the next launch sessions. Go into the coaching YouTube channel and watch videos number 1 and number 2.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Next time, do I get to see your face?
Yes.
All right, perfect. Okay.
Thank
Bye,
you.
guys.
Have a good day, guys.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.